also in terms of food produce, but it's specifically wine. What makes it so special?
Really good question, because it's a sort of nuanced and fascinating answer in that what is actually directly underneath us and why the restaurant is called what it is only about 25 to max 30 centimetres of topsoil. And then we are looking at solid chalk. Now, that doesn't sound massively promising if you look at a chalk, and we are talking, you know, the same chalk that you draw on a blackboard kind of chalk. It's not in any way full of wonderful nutrients and food as if you pick up that crumbly black stuff, you know. So why do we get excited about growing vines on that? Well, the answer is actually twofold. There is one, that chalk is both permeable, so it lets most of the water go through it. It's after all the aquifer for most of southern waters, water through here, water purifies through it. Now that's good for vines because they don't like their roots sitting in a puddle.
And this is the same chalk that's in northern France and in the Champagne region.
Côte de Blanc,
so
called because of that chalk. And absolutely, a millennia ago, geologically, we would have been joined before the glaciers moved apart and the channel was formed. So now that, you know, people often ask us, so why are we trying to beat the French at their game? Are we? And not really. I mean, we've learned everything we know, really, in this method champenoise from the French. We are simply doing on land that is, if not identical, unbelievably similar, what they were doing, really pioneering. You know, hundreds of years ago, and probably we have the weather that they had, let's say 40 odd years ago. You know, and I always think of our winemaker here saying he came to work for us from Knightonburg because we were on the chalk. He fell for the passion of my very, you know, very charismatic, very passionate mother-in-law, but also because England has this wonderful long growing season at the moment. So we have bud bursts in April, and we often don't pick until maybe the end of October.
So, in my opinion, there's no doubt people should come here to taste your wines.
Well, thank you,
Carol. Why else should people come here?
No, it's such a good question, because actually I think that speaks to the fact, yes, we've learned hugely from the French on the technique and the sort of the real nitty gritty of how to make champagne, but as you said, they can rely on the fact that they've got an audience that just know that they make great wine. We, I think, with the tourism piece, are really looking to the new world, and actually the fact that my mother-in-law came from South Africa, you know, where we and my husband and I, Rick and I, have gone around some of the vineyards there and done some of the wine routes, and actually their ability, as you say, to draw you in on multiple fronts, not just on the fact that you might be interested in a particular Blanc de Blanc.
Exactly.
And actually, as a family, we've got 3 young boys. You know, it's so enjoyable to go somewhere where, yes, we can do a wine tasting, but we can also have a wonderful family meal, and then we can go for a walk and get a sense of our context. And then, you know, when you leave and go home, you don't just think about sitting in a cold cellar having a sip of wine, you think about a whole place. And so often the places that are most memorable are where you've actually got to know some of the faces and the people behind those,
and the story behind the label, you know.
The story. This place has been in Harry's family since 1743.
Wow.
And you know, we take on a legacy, Rick and I, that Harry and Pip are leaving us to run and to manage, and that gives this wonderful long-term perspective. We're not building something to sell, we're building something that will have a lasting, we hope, really positive impact. So we're able, you know, when we happen to be in a national park where to do anything, actually, to get planning, you need to put a whole estate plan together. And that's a really good discipline. I would say it's a great discipline, actually, for any business, to think a little bit further ahead than the markets might be telling you to think. And in doing that, Rick and I realised we're passionate sort of about 3 things, actually. Nature, we feel, is just so beautiful and so important and intrinsic to all of our lives, and is so endangered. And people would be our second kind of real focus. So yes, nature, but not nature out of relationship with people. So, you know, if you just always left nature everywhere, then there would be no ability to support the numbers of people we now have. So we've got to somehow rework this relationship. So people, and in many different ways, but we had a real sense of, wouldn't it be wonderful if actually this place we could employ a few more young, so they weren't all disappearing off to the cities, because after all, we need a rural economy that works if we're going to face some of these issues. And so that's another thing, that the wine is an extraordinary draw. Not, yes, for people from all over the world we've had come and visit, but it means that you can then, there's a lot of employment in a vineyard, and then in the whole tourist part of it. So that's certainly, the wine has helped with our focus on people, but we do employ, people in the forestry, and we've got a chalk pit, and we've got all sorts of different things going on. And then lastly, we realise that enterprise, you need viable businesses if this thing is going to keep going and be sustainable, and that's.
So people coming to Wiston today. So obviously there's maybe you can summarize. There's something around obviously getting to know about the wines and the vineyards. You can eat here. I think you do lunches, you do dinner on a couple of nights.
So we do lunches. We're open every day apart from Mondays. And you can absolutely, so that's for breakfast and lunch. Then we do a dinner service on Friday and Saturday. And then we have what's called Chalk Express, which is this fun little airstream.
Yeah, we'll see that way.
That's every day from 10 till 4. Brilliant if people want to come for a walk and then have a toasty or an ice cream for their children, coffees, soft drinks, and that is a much more affordable kind of offering. So, and we have these great walking maps that people can do different.
So can you just come in and
walk? Absolutely. Yeah. So people can literally drop into the shop, drop into here, grab a map, go off. They could come and just then have a glass of wine, or they might think, I want to do. Often people will time it. They do a big loop, big walk, and then might come and do a wine tour afterwards, or or have lunch and then do. And we do probably with all the different landscape ones, about 4 or 5 different types of tours. Are sort of going through any one month, but daily there are our normal wine tours every day at 11 and 2:30 that are drop-inable.
And then of course people coming here as well. You've got the beautiful South Downs, you've got the coast.
Yes.
We're doorstep. You've got.
Yeah, we're probably 17 minutes from the sea. Wow. I think. So absolutely, you could come in the morning to do one thing and be with a completely different vista in the afternoon. In fact, from Chanctonbury Ring, which is the highest point on the estate, on a lovely clear day, you can get a brilliant view of the Isle of Wight. If you're a biker, so you'll have seen we've got lots of logs that people can lock their bikes up to.
That is great.
And we do get a lot of we get a lot of people doing routes through this place and then just stopping in for a quick coffee or a bite.
Fantastic. And so maybe kind of in summary, a couple of quick things. If you could maybe just summarise, when someone comes to Wiston, what do you want them to go away with in terms of their experience? And the second question is really around the legacy that you're looking to create.
Absolutely. So I think we really hope that anyone who walks through the door feels completely welcomed, whether they have a vast amount of knowledge about wine and what it is to be on a vineyard, or none at all. I really hope there would be no judgment and absolute acceptance and real excitement to be introducing people to something that a lot have never realised could be on these shores. So I think welcome is a huge value, a really strong, important value for us. And then we, my mother-in-law and Rick and Harry, we've all thought, if we're going to go down this road though of something that, like we've talked about, is a long journey, we only want to do it if we're doing it excellently. So we hope that people would go away thinking that wasn't just all right glass of wine or a plate of food, that actually we had really celebrated what we are so lucky to have be surrounded by. We've celebrated, done it justice. So I suppose, yeah, a welcome and a striving for excellence are two things that we really want to make sure is at the heart of here. I think a celebration of this land, if that's a legacy, then I think that would be something we hope to aim for.